Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Pauline Joe. I am a therapist here at Lartu Wellness Group. Um, Today, we have a couple of therapists as well as interns and our CEO, Frank. Um, I am wondering if we can go around and introduce ourselves.
Oh, I'll start. I'm Carol Douglas. I'm an LCPC, and I work as an independent contractor. Um, uh, been doing this for about 4 or 5 years, maybe. And I work with adults and I work with children. And yeah, so I haven't really specialized, but it seems like I work with children, but love working with adults. So my area is anxiety, depression, trauma, and I'm working on being a certified play therapist. So
Thank you, Carol. Welcome again. Who would like to go next?
I'll go. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Inadequacy. I am an intern at Larty Wellness. I've been interning since March of this year, and still learning so much. Already have learned so much, and um, just enjoying this journey with everyone. And I'm glad to see you all this morning. So happy Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Thank you, Ngazi. How about I popcorn to Frank?
Good morning. I'm actually babysitting today. Just wanted to drop in. I heard a lot of great feel, Latin Wellness Group, and happy just to listen in and happy to see what they have in store for us today. Thank you.
I guess I can go next. My name is Xiao, and I'm a therapist resident in Latte Wellness Group, and really happy to join this group.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Courtney. I'm an intern here at Latte Wellness. I've been with the Latte Wellness Group since March of this year. And yeah, again, just to piggyback off of what Ngozi said, it's been a great learning experience. I'm glad that Frank gave me the opportunity to be a part of the team. And yeah, I also hope to continue learning and growing through this experience.
Thank you, Courtney. Brittany, I can't recall, did you get a chance to introduce yourself?
Not yet, sorry. My name's Brittany Spirit. I've been at Latte Wellness about the same as I started about the same time as Courtney and Guzzy. And I would have to agree that this has been an amazing learning experience. And that I've gained a lot of tools here, and I'm very excited to work with this group today. And happy Wednesday.
Thank you all for your wonderful introductions. You're right. Happy Wednesday. I am thinking of kind of some different topics we can talk about, but something that has really come to mind lately is the fact that I notice a lot of people are talking about imposter syndrome. I'm wondering if anyone has any beginning thoughts or knows what imposter syndrome is.
All right, I'll go. Imposter syndrome is when you feel like a fake. So essentially, you let's say you're a new therapist, and it happens a lot of times when you're in like a new environment, or you're in a new thing, and you're a therapist, and you're like, but you don't feel that you're a therapist because you don't know everything. You're struggling you feel like a fake. So you're giving advice to someone, but then deep inside, you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm still trying to learn this. I'm still trying to, get a hold of it. And imposter syndrome is very, very real. It creates that fear. It creates that anxiety, it creates that fear, and it creates that anxiety within you that you're just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be, what am I going to do? Am I going to wrap myself out? Are they going to know that I really don't know what I'm doing? And then I'm kind of just, going along with it. At least that's my version of imposter syndrome.
Thank you, Frank, for that definition. Can anyone think of a time, whether it's been at this internship or really anywhere, that they felt that they might have struggled with imposter syndrome? Or even you, Frank?
I do agree with Frank, like his example. I do feel like, especially for the beginner or like a new people, like in an environment, and I just feel like everyone else in the group, like in the side, will be better than me, and then like I will have low confidence in doing something, and yeah, and just like Frank said, like this will actually affect my performance, and not willing to really show a lot of my abilities and my strengths and speak up, and that's why I think that's affecting. But actually it's not. Yeah, but actually like there's no evidence to show that I'm actually have lower abilities than others, but just a lot of things are result from my own mindset, and all like I just think myself is weak, and also like have is not good at something.
I'll share. So I can actually agree with what Ciel said. So like in the beginning of starting this internship, like my very first client, after when doing their intake and finding out their presenting problem, it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say to them? Because I literally have no type of experience of what they might be going through and everything. So I kind of did feel like, kind of like what Frank said, like you're this therapist and you're giving this, trying to give advice and trying to help out a client, but you aren't exactly sure what to say or how to say it, because it's something that I'm still learning along the way. So I did have moments where I did feel like that, but I kind of like, after talking to Frank and doing supervision and everything and doing my research, like the next time I met up with a client, it's like, okay, I know how to move now. I know what to say in case something does come up where I'm not too sure about it. At least I have something to back me up. But I would say in the beginning, it was like I kind of did feel like a fraud a little bit, even with taking courses and everything and still learning things. It's like actually having that first client was a little bit difficult. But again, doing my due diligence and doing the research afterwards has been helpful. So.
Thank you, Ngozi. Xiao, I kind of want to go back to what you said. You had said something that like really struck out to me. So you had said that with imposter syndrome, or just when it comes to mind to you, you would think of like challenging your abilities, like you know a lot, and you know that you maybe don't know everything, but there's still so much that you can give in these therapy sessions. I'm wondering like, I guess, what specific abilities can anyone in the group think of that maybe you've ever like questioned or felt that you were that you've struggled with?
I'm sorry, I may not completely get what you say. Is it like ability that I'm actually have, but I don't think I have? Is that what you say?
Yes, that's what I was saying.
Actually, it's a very interesting thing. So, for example, like when I'm doing the intake, like when I first do intake, I actually have done several times in my other experiences before, and I think like I should be proficient. But when I'm actually doing it, I just feel like, oh my god, I don't know anything, and I just feel, and I just when I'm actually collecting the records, I just feel like writing my notes. I just okay, I can ask like these questions are supposed to ask in this way or in that way, but actually I collect all the informations I need to collect. But I just will be really picky on myself and just feeling like my skill is not enough. And hopefully like this, and actually this could become better as I actually do more, and I can feel that I actually have my own pace and I do not need to ask questions or in the same way. But at first, like especially like just joining this like join Latte Wells group, this will be really like very struggling things for me, like not only in intake but also like in a future like counseling sessions. Just I was, oh, I can ask in this way, I can ask more on this aspect, like this way. Yeah.
I was going to say, I've always felt like whenever I feel like, oh, gee, I didn't do a good job, or gee, I didn't know, I roll back to something I learned in school, which is you don't begin this journey for the client and you don't end it. You're walking with the client. And one of the things that I found has been most helpful is just to be willing to show up. It's powerful. It doesn't matter if you don't say anything, but if you just actively listen, then you're more than 60% of the way there. There are millions of theories, there are millions of techniques. You'll know what to do in the right moment. And you have to kind of just trust that. And if nothing else, for 45 minutes or whatever it is, you've given someone undivided attention who really shows that they are important enough for your time and your attention to listen. And if you do nothing else, you've made their life better for that time. And at the most, I think that's the best that we do. People are only going to go so far, and you can give a ton of handouts and tons of advice and tons of, psychoeducation and all like that. They can only take so much, and they're going to take what they can take at the time they can take it. But one gift that you'll always give them is your presence. And so if you kind of just roll back and say, the fact that I showed up and show up consistently may be the gift that they've never gotten before. And if I do no more than that, that's there.
Carol, thank you for that wonderful description. I really appreciated how you said it's not necessarily always about, knowing every single answer. I think that's true. As you go up through your therapy career, there's always going to be like something that you don't know. But it's the fact that we are showing the will to want to help, and that we are showing them that they are important enough that either we want to learn or that we are willing to maybe do the research on whatever topic they may want to talk about.
And to say, you know what, I don't know much about that. Tell me about that, right? So that invites the client to tell you, what you don't know. You can't possibly know everything. And people will figure out that you don't know everything. We're not the authority of all human behavior. But when you ask them, you say, when you're honest and say, you know what, I don't know. Can you tell me about that? My teenagers, how you do this? I don't know how you do this. What's this for? And they're just happy that somebody's interested enough to ask them. And I think that's true of adults too.
I totally agree with that. Thank you for sharing that, Carol. I believe that's so true because I've noticed sometimes when I'm working with clients and, there is something I don't know, I do ask and they get so excited, to tell me what it's all about. And you can just hear it in their voice, like, oh, like I'm actually teaching teaching somebody something new. So I completely agree with you. So thanks for that information.
To add to what you guys were saying, sometimes when we almost point it out or we label it for the clients, that can be a really powerful experience. Just to say, I don't know, but I want to learn, or I don't know, but maybe you can tell me more. There's something about, really building that connection with our clients by bringing it back to them and giving them the power to answer things in the way that, they want to answer it. And so I actually think sometimes that's a benefit to say you don't know. It almost challenges them to figure out what it is that they know, or why is it important that we're bringing it up. Courtney or Brittany, do you have any thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, I was actually going to say the same thing that Ngozi was saying in terms of, well, I know for me that was a struggle for me initially, and at times it honestly still is, because I sort of second guess myself at times, or I feel like I should know something, but I don't know it right away. So of course, going along with research and everything like that, that helps. And then sometimes I'll second guess myself and I'm actually telling the client the right thing. So I guess just their confirmation from the clients and then hearing it all from you as well this morning just lets me know that I am on the right track and that I am doing okay. But yeah, it honestly is a challenge for me to, yeah, again, like I said, just second guessing myself just to know that, just to, I guess, verify that I'm doing the right thing. Yeah, so that's that's a constant challenge, and I know it's easier said than done to tell myself just get out of your own head, but it's tough.
Another thing I was thinking is that you're not an imposter. You have a license, you have education, you're not posing as something that you're not. You're growing into a vast career, and you can never, ever know enough about anything, even if you specialize in something. There's too much to know, and human beings are too complex to be able to know everything, especially, as Courtney said, at the right time. It'll never happen. Never mind, that's what CUs are for, to try and brush up on some things. And the only way to feeling less of an imposter is to keep practicing, keep getting in there, being yourself. You're always going to learn something, and it takes years. There are things I still struggle with. I still struggle with diagnoses. I was like, I just can't get it right. But I ain't that wrong. Okay. So maybe that'll be helpful for someone. The only way you know if you're right is if the client tells you. What did you want the client to do? Do they say, oh yeah, I do psychodynamic, and one of the things that I know that the client gets it is they take a deep breath, they exhale. When they exhale, it's like, release the tension. I get it. So sometimes just knowing that, that's the best you're going to do, and that's all you want to do. Right? You just want to make your life a little bit better, a little bit at a time. So you're not imposters, you're real. It's real.
Thank you for that. I for Frank told me this all the time, but I just like not saying I don't discredit what he says, but it's just like again me being in my own head. It's like I don't know. Like yeah, I appreciate that.
I agree, Carol. That is incredibly comforting, not only as a growing professional, but also as a human being, and a reminder that we should be gentle with ourselves. To kind of add to what you said, I'm finding again, kind of across the board, maybe not just at Larty, but just anywhere I go, a lot of therapists are struggling. Being a therapist in the pandemic has presented challenges that we didn't even know existed. And so something that I've kind of like come up with, it's not actually in any books, but I've told anyone who's ever struggled, I said, no matter how hard it is to be a therapist, especially now, remember that we are all leaders in crisis. And that's a gift to be able to lead others and to be that support. So kind of going back to, okay, we don't know all the answers. We're, as you said, Carol, kind of brushing up on different areas, and there's so many areas. Primarily, we are a leader in crisis, and that should be something we should always be proud of. And as I ramble on, Carol, I was actually curious, since you started at Larty and then now you're kind of doing your own thing, what kind of led you from Larty to the business that you've grown now?
I probably wouldn't have never left, except I could never find parking down on Pratt Street. That's the reason why I left. Otherwise, it was great. And we was, at the time, I don't know what Larty is now, but we were in that one office, and we shared that one office, and it was got like, and then because of the building restrictions, you could only be in this part at this particular time. You had to be in this part at that particular time. And, so it was very different, and it just got to be too much of a struggle. I got too many parking tickets, and I loved it. But Frank inspired me. He said, you should do marriage counseling. I'm like, I don't want to do marriage counseling. I was like, oh my gosh. He's like, no, yeah, you should do this. This is great. But what Frank taught me was that, kind of define your own niche, which clearly for me is not marriage counseling. But always try things. You never know. There's nothing to be lost by trying out things, whatever you've been afraid of. And so when I branched out, then on my own business, I'm trying to get clients, get enough money. I mean, I was not making any money, basically trying to get clients, and I'm with the same kind of thing. They find clients for you. But, when you want to make a kind of salary, you got to pay some bills, you got to see some clients. So you figure out what works well for you. And because I'm an LCPC, I can only see Medicaid patients. I don't take private pay at this point. So that's a whole different dynamic. Also, because before, when I started, I had problems walking, so I gave up going to people's houses. So I would, and thank goodness for the pandemic, at least I could do Zoom, but I learned just to keep plugging away at it, keep plugging away. And eventually I built up my business too. Now it's comfortable. You have to build your business. It's going to take about a year, right? But That's okay. There are always plenty of clients. Frank will always tell you that. There's always plenty of clients. You don't have to worry about it. You're like, Frank, they've all canceled for today. So it'll be, but it's a lot of fun. It's very freeing to have your own business, to be able to schedule yourself, decide what you want to do with your clients, and not have people say you have to do this, don't have that. Not be bogged down in paperwork, but to have a company that supports you with your billing and with, you know, your documentation. And if anybody's interested, I think that's one of my strengths is documentation. So if you ever have any questions, I can help you. But yeah, but it's just kind of doing it all yourself and say, wow, you know, I used to hustle for other people. Now I'm kind of doing this for myself, but I work with people who are just great therapists too, just like you do. And it's wonderful. It's all the difference in the world because you work hard, and at the end of the day, you gotta leave it. You cannot go to sleep with your clients, is all I like to say. You know, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? You know, what time did I call them yet? You know, what therapy am I going to use? Do I have any worksheets? Let it go. It's going to be all right when you get there. And they'll direct it. They'll let you know what's going on. You just flow with it. But that takes time. But the more that you realize, it's about letting I tell them, my thing is, I tell the client, this is your session. You tell me what we're going to talk about. If there's something that, you know, you don't want to talk about, I might challenge you as to why you're not going to talk about it. But if you don't want to talk about it, okay, you don't talk about it. You know, I sat with clients for 20 minutes in silence. So it's a great journey. It's fun. It isn't easy. It's challenging, but that's what I like, you know. But you'll love it. You'll never regret a day of it. And Frank clearly knew he wasn't into play therapy. That was something he got as an intern. So he gave me the gift of sand tray and all the little miniatures. And I found one of my niches with it. Yeah. So.
Carol, I really like the fact that you use the word flow. You flowed with it from the LG PC level to the LC PC level. Now you're working with kids. I actually don't have too much experience with kids, at least not necessarily like on a clinical level. So I'm wanting to get more training. I'm wondering for you or anyone in our group, what trainings have you guys found helpful, or like what, I guess, skills or attributes have you guys found helpful to be successful with kids in your guys' work?
For me, since being here at Latte, well, even before being a part of the Latte team, I always wanted to counsel children. And so far, I've had to experience working with 3 adolescents. The first 2 adolescent clients that I had, it did not go as well as I thought it was going to go due to, I guess, well, one client just, of course, wasn't really participative. She wasn't into it. And then the second client, it was her parents who didn't want her to receive services anymore. The third adolescent client that I'm working with now, we're on our 6th session, and it's been going on really, really well. I allow her, just like Miss Carol said, to tell me, pretty much what she wants to share, if she's comfortable with sharing certain things. And I've actually started challenging myself more by utilizing the challenging techniques, especially dealing with this particular client because, I mean, she's a teenager. Most teenagers don't want to share but so much information, but it has been beneficial for us. I've also incorporated some different activities that I picked up from my classmates. that they utilize just to help one build more rapport with the client and build that therapeutic relationship, and then to also continue to keep it, make it a safe environment, especially with it being virtual. That's been another challenge for me as well. But yeah, so far with this particular client, it's been going pretty good in terms of working with adolescents. Do I wish I could receive more training? Yes, I would really love to do that. So if anybody knows of how I can go about doing that, that would be a great help. Because I do want to continue working with adolescents and gaining that experience, although I kind of do feel myself being or working a lot better with adults, and I didn't expect that at all. So yeah.
That's funny, Courtney. I'm actually the opposite way. So I noticed that I actually enjoy more working more with adolescent children and adolescents. I've actually had a few adolescents, and I noticed with them. So like you said, kind of just building that rapport with them, of course. And also, so a lot of like my clients love to watch and anime and like Marvel and stuff. So when when they don't really have nothing to talk about, we kind of talk about that. And so what I do with them is like, okay, so they'll tell me like what they watch, and I'm like, okay, so I watched the first episode, and next session we could talk about that episode and then go further, into whatever they're going through or whatever problem they're doing, and they actually like that. And the one child I do work with, he likes to draw. I think he's like 9. He likes to draw, and we do, the video session. So during the session, we pretty much will draw a picture with each other. And then at the end of the session, we'll show each other what we draw, we'll discuss it, and he'll tell me why he drew it, and really pretty much whatever he draws expresses how he feels. So he tends to hold a lot of anger and aggression. So he'll use specific colors. So I'll ask him like, okay, why'd you use this? Or why'd you put the eye here? Something like that, just so he can be a little bit more open and vocal with me. So that's kind of how I've been like working with adolescents and children, kind of just doing something that they enjoy doing, and then talking them with them and giving them an assignment. Like, okay, so like when it comes to like one of my clients likes Marvel. So they told me to like, they actually give me the assignment more than I give them the assignment. So they're like, okay, can you watch like this episode of The Black Widow, like, and tell me what you think. So that's actually something I have to do this week. So next week when we have a session, we can discuss that. So I actually enjoy it because it's like, it's teaching me something, not only about them, but it's like, oh, like I actually find it interesting. And, so, but when it comes to adults, I mean, I don't mind adults, but I just love working more with children and adolescents because it's fun, and sometimes adults is so serious and it's like, I don't know what to say. I just listen to them and and hear them out. But working with children is I enjoy. I have so much fun with them, and I feel like they just learn to feel more comfortable not only with themselves but more with me as well. So it's the opposite for me, Corey.
I actually really agree with Ngozi said. Like I have worked with several like adolescent clients too, and I try to make my session less structured, so become more creative and become like involving, like not only discussing their symptoms. So for example, like some of my clients who have like social anxiety or things, I would definitely focus on the thing, but a part of the session I would just choose, like I have a card game on my table just for adolescents, and I would just pick a topic. I ask them to pick the card and to have a topic for them so we can discuss in the session. And actually I will find out that like adolescents, they are actually really like impressive and also like have very super great critical thinking. I would just let them recognize their strengths, but also like how those kind of strengths may actually contribute their social anxiety. For example, like very great, insightful, and like thinking process, but actually can increase their social anxiety because they think a lot and can actually like they think too much around like how others look at them. This may actually contribute to each other. But I definitely recognize their strengths too. So I think like, and also like, for example, some of my girl clients are actually worried about their self-image and things. Just ask them to draw out, like to create, like draw out how they actually see themselves and ideals, like their ideal self and what they want to pursue at their like in the future, like the values they pursue and like what they do they value. And I just feel like, and sometimes like less structure, but more creative and actually can see a multiple like aspects of a client rather than only see the symptoms or only see the, yeah. And actually like, I think like I really enjoy working with adolescents. It's really fun to work with them. And sometimes they often surprise me about what they just say. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought up that you mentioned that activity of allowing them to draw how they view themselves. I actually had an activity planned out for my adolescent client for next week when we have our session, for her to do something like that because she does love to draw. But what I plan on doing is getting a magazine, some scissors and stuff like that, and having her cut out different things. And I'm going to be doing it with her as well. Just having us label how we think people view us, and then on the other side of the paper, having us create a picture of how we view ourselves. So yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned that.
I think so. Kind of like what Sia said when it comes to how some of the female clients, they stress on like their image, self-image, and everything. So I actually had a client like that, and there's this app which I absolutely love. It's called Womave, WOMAVE, and pretty much within the app, it gives you all these different tips for self-care. Self-image, self-love. And so I brought that up to one of my clients, and they've like so far they've loved it because so they send you these quotes every single day. And it's weird because if you're feeling some type of way, if you're feeling down, like the quote comes to you at a perfect moment where you need it, where you need to see it. So one time she expressed that she's like, oh my gosh, I love this app. She's like, she was feeling really depressed one day about herself, that she wanted to wear this top, but it didn't fit. And, it just put her in a funk. And she received this quote that pretty much was something about like self-love. And she's like, after reading that quote, she felt a lot better. And she's like, I needed to see this. And so I don't know if you guys want to ever use that, but it's a great app, and it's so many different things that you can do, and they have so many different videos when it comes to like meditation, mindfulness, and everything like that too. So it's something I shared with my clients, and they absolutely love it, whether it's the adolescents or even adults. So Womave, definitely check it out. I love it as well.
Put it in the chat box, the name of the app, please. Thanks. I'm writing notes here. It sounds like a great idea.
Thank you, Ngozi, and great idea, Carol. To add to what you guys were talking about, I definitely agree that there is uniqueness in working with the different populations. I'm thinking of kind of adding to what Courtney said about, implementing more like artistic ways in sessions. At my second year internship in my social work program, I learned about a window between worlds. That's why I've been looking down at my phone. It's called A Window Between Worlds. We probably have to like get collectively like an account for the organization, but what I like about it is it gives you all these different prompts, and it's meant to help children and teens who have experienced trauma. And they actually have a whole section of just activities that you can do because, we're in the pandemic and we're all online. So I'm going to definitely write that resource down too. But as we are wrapping up our session today, I want to thank you guys for all of this wonderful insight. And again, I'm very grateful to have seen Carol come today. Are there any other additional or final thoughts that anyone has?
I just want to say I definitely enjoyed this group this morning. It feels good to speak with you all, even though I don't really like talking in the morning, but it's good. And it's awesome to meet you, Carol. Thank you for all the information and the advice you provided for us. It has been helpful, and it definitely gave me some insight as well as continuing this journey of becoming a licensed therapist. So thank you, and hopefully we can all meet again soon.
I'm so glad to be a part of this group. I love this. This is what I've been wanting for years. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. I love having the ideas, seeing you all. This has just made my whole week.
Carol, I really appreciate that energy. It's colleagues like that, energy like that, that definitely gets me through the day. So we'll wrap up for today, and it looks like we're going to keep meeting every single day and keep trying to invite clients into the group. I believe Carol as well. You're welcome if you know of anyone who happens to be available from 8:30 to 9:30 who wants a group setting, that they are welcome to come. Well, I thank you all again, and I hope everyone has a good rest of the day.
Thank
Great
you.
day.
You as well.
Thank
Bye,
you. You
guys.
too.
Bye.